So yesterday Tim Pool confirmed the threats made against the venue where he is holding heterodox panels of discussion on subjects of racism, violence and authoritarianism. In his announcement, at multiple points he expressed his disbelief that Democratic Socialists of America would try to stop talks aimed at stopping violence.
Of course it's not. But what am I supposed to do? What are any of us supposed to do? Invite them out to sit down and talk. And we see activists on the left, Antifa. There have been tweets from groups identifying as like DSA, Democratic Socialists, who seem intent on destroying this. They don't want our conversation. They don't want us to reach out and try and bridge that divide, and I don't know why. I mean, I can speculate as to why, but you know what, man? It is a bit disheartening.
I will try to answer Tim's question. Let's take a look at less popular clip from the Democratic Socialist Convention of 2019.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sam Lewis. He, him. I'm from the New York City DSA chapter. This very simple amendment is to strike the language about forming an independent party. I want, in conversation with the authors of the proposal since, I think we're all in agreement that we do want to build a mass organization, political organization of the working class that vies for state power. So it's not an attempt to get rid of that shared goal. The problem with the language as I see it is that it counterposes forming an independent working class party with the tactical use of the Democratic line. So it's basically saying in the future we will break with our tactical use of the Democratic line. I think many of us have an agnostic position on that question, right? We want to behave in the most strategic way as class politics in this country develops. We don't want to commit to what has historically been a failed strategy in the United States of forming a third-party ballot line. So I consider this a friendly debate. I will be voting for the proposal whether or not this passes, but I think it's important to discuss. Thank you.
Did you catch this? Tactical use of the Democratic line. What they are saying is that they are only Democrats in name and in reality they are just socialists. But if you were just a socialist you wouldn't need to shut down people's events. And so they aren't socialists either. They are simply communists, hiding behind a more politically acceptable label. Here is a right-winger, the Distributist, who also picked up, in a different clip, on the performance that is being played by the Democratic Socialists.
Point of information, could you please let us know how many delegates there are?
Anyone know that? Hold on 1 second. Do you know that? I believe 1,057.
So apparently nobody knows what's going on. The most important question in democracy: how many people are actually voting on this decision? How many people are representing people in this voting decision? How are the dynamics of popular votes working? The question is asked, and nobody in the entire room, including the speaker and the other experts presumably leading the vote, can answer it. The best we get is an interjection from an audience member with an approximate number of delegates. No one has the slightest idea what they're doing. And to add insult to injury, the reaction to this very pertinent question, this revelation of ultimate ignorance about the very process you're leading and participating, is it greeted with genuine questioning of the authority system in place? No, it's greeted with laughter. Because nobody is taking this seriously. No one feels like it should be taken seriously, when in reality, this should be very serious. They're organizing delegates. They're organizing votes. They are, from the perspective of someone who believes in democracy, managing how people's voices actually come to bear when it comes to decisions of power. If we're dealing with real power and real consequences, how could this not be incredibly important? Yet at the same time, the leaders, the delegates, just laugh it off. I mean, who cares? All it is voting, right? It doesn't really have any consequences or mean anything. We're all just here doing something, doing kind of a democracy thing, but there's no consequences. We don't really care about the results. We don't even really know what we're doing or the rules or the number of delegates. It's just a performance. It's just a show. It's performative democracy. That's the only way to explain this.
Recently, another right-winger, alternative hypothesis, made the realization that if the left is disrupting political and civil processes, so should the right. Here is a clip.
By their actions, they ignore federal law. They just act. They just do. You talk, they do. And it's like, we're ignoring the law. We're just going to do what we want. If you don't like it, well, strap it up and come at us if you think you're hard enough. That's the people's veto. It's not about majority support. Majority support can go suck a dick. The law, the Constitution, well, you like that document, you go have fun with it. And if our people, the sort of Tucker Carlson populist conservative crowd, started acting this way, that opens up so many options for us.
People's veto, not unlike 16th century liberum veto, is a means for a minority or even a single individual to disrupt the operation of an entire civil or political process. So the answer to Tim's question is, DSA disrupts your events because they are communists who don't agree with having discourse. They don't want to have discourse themselves, and they don't want you to have it either. They don't want their goals changed because they already decided what those goals are. They also don't care about social rules or laws they have to break to reach their goals, so long as they can hide behind a politically correct tag. First obvious question is, what are people doing about all this? We know what Tim, while being on the center left, is doing. He wants to talk it out. What is the rest of the left doing in the meantime? Here is Cenk and Hasan.
I'm not a democratic socialist of America. And now the last part might make people even the most angry. Comrade? Nah, I'm not calling anybody comrade. Okay, so it's incredibly stupid politics. Okay, like, and I'm not going to do it. And you're not my comrade. Okay, you're a fellow citizen. I love you. I'm going to fight for you like no one fights for you. But I'm not calling you comrade, and I'm not using Soviet terminology.
So Cenk is saying he agrees with the communists on everything. He just won't call people comrades and wave communist flag. And Hasan's response to this is,
let the boomer live. He's done a tremendous amount of good work. He is a gateway to leftist politics for a lot of people, and he's organizing with socialists and propping up leftist candidates through Justice Dems.
So to Hasan the communist, Cenk is part of the pipeline. Here is another example of such a pipeline.
Yeah, Destiny does enjoy alienating the left. That's definitely true. He's still useful, though. He's a part of the pipeline.
Meanwhile, the self-described social democrat Destiny is trying to get rid of communists in his community. Here is what David Pakman suggests he does.
I'm sorry, I had a conversation with Michael Brooks today because we wanted to... So I've been giving, okay, I don't know how familiar you are with my stuff, but basically, I've had a problem with what I consider to be, oh my God, militant as fuck progressives online. I hate them. I hate all these commies and socialist kids, the Chapo Trap Housers, the unironic like Marxists and stuff. They're just annoying to me. I don't necessarily hate their ideology. They just come at me with a whole bunch of bunk arguments. 95% of these people don't even know like labor value theory. Like they have no idea what they're talking about, but they're so quick to throw out every single like contemporary understanding of economics to make some argument for some crazy socialist fantasy world where everything is free, nobody has to work, no other countries mess with us, every problem it's been frustrating me. So anytime I push back on these people and I give certain arguments, people say like, oh, well, he's Dave Rubin, oh, he's conservative now, oh, he's alt-right, oh, he's extreme right-wing. And it's like, okay, dudes. So I guess Michael Brooks kind of like caught wind of this like Twitter war. We have a whole bunch of mutuals and people were poking like, oh, go school Destiny on some topic. We talk for a little bit and somehow I guess he chooses the topic of the TPP. And I'm like, okay, fine. The TPP is probably a good place for us to start because there's a lot of like, I guess, neoliberal or whatever policies revolving trade and economics and maybe we can hammer some of these out. And he came on and he basically talked to me for like 55 minutes and I couldn't get a single word in.
Oh, are you serious? Like you barely said anything?
Like if somebody were to go through and tally the time, if I had to make a legitimate guess, I would say say
Yeah.
I probably, like, in the last 30 minutes, I probably spoke for 3 or 4 minutes, and I think he spoke for like 26 or 27 minutes. That would be my
Now,
guess.
why didn't you interject and say like, hey, listen, it's not really a conversation unless I get a chance to talk too?
Well, because I tried to, but like every time I did, he had like a diffusing. So like he would say like, well, hold on, this is really important. Or, well, yeah, and he would like do that. And I'd be like, okay. And then he would like, but then anytime I tried to address like, so he would bring up like 10 points and I'd try to go back and bring up the first one. And then as soon as I would get like halfway through addressing it, he would launch off into a whole other very important monologue. And it was like,
So did you feel like anything was accomplished?
I mean, the first part of the conversation was like a fun little circle jerk where we seemed to agree in terms of like people being crazy on social media and shit. But
Okay, well I mean, listen, I didn't see that, but I've been dealing with just, I mean, there's like, I guess my big thing that I don't like doing this thing where I just like criticize the left from the left for clicks. I think that there's legitimate stuff to criticize the left for. And one of those things is just like the narcissism of small differences, as it's called, where like we agree on 95% of stuff and we make the focus the 5% we disagree on to the point where we end up just like losing and it's completely counterproductive. And I think some of the stuff you're talking about is under that umbrella.
This is no different from Hasan suggesting tankies are allies.
The reason the government
We have to rely on the lizard people.
In essence, David is saying Stephen should just accept the communists and stop thinking about the small disagreements he has with them over Soviet symbols, because he already agrees with them on 95% of things. David, it seems, is already doing that. This would be unacceptable for the right. Imagine if someone was to argue to, say, Sargon, that he should just accept alt-right as fellow travelers and not worry about those swastikas. And here lies the power distribution between the left, the right and center. The right needs centrists like Tim more than the centrists need the right, and everyone seems to know that, except the extreme right. But on the flip side, the extreme left doesn't need moderate left and doesn't need centrists. It can just pretend it is those things and just push their ideas forward. A potential way for Tim, Cenk, Stephen, David and Shue, to get rid of the communists in their fanbases, is to move even closer to the center, by adopting more right-wing positions. And no, Stephen, just supporting capitalism ain't it, chief. In order to bring the balance closer to the center, all of you must move even closer to the right. Pick whatever way or issue is more convenient for you. Another obvious question is why aren't right-wingers calling LGBT feminist socialist meetings with bomb threats to disrupt them? Why aren't Cenk studios constantly under threat to the point they have to shut down? Why are socialists like Stephen able to stream when their location is known? My guess is that it's because right-wingers have families, jobs, and like playing by the rules, and they will not risk those things to pull serial teenage stunts like calling in a bomb on a school. I could be wrong. This is why Ryan Falk is alone and other right-wingers will rather check out of society entirely. J.F. Garipi and O. and Benjamin already moved to live in the woods. Incels and MG to check out of society as well. Alone, Ryan can disrupt a few things here and there, nowhere near the scale the left can, until he starts seeing his efforts are futile and considers either more violent options or checking out as the rest. Liberum Veto ended one of Europe's 16th century powers. Ryan's road leads either nowhere or back to the table with Tim. For Ryan, the situation is inverse than for Stephen. He would be better served by finding and underscoring the things he agrees with the middle and let the middle carry some of his causes. Why does Destiny use the term community instead of the term fan base? Who created the political compass and what biases did they have? Is the compass skewed to the left? If so, then why?
You think that's air you're breathing now?
Bonus meme. This presentation would have been better in Jordan Peterson's voice, but its server is overloaded today. The question still remains. Who created the Jordan Peterson voice bot? What were their political biases? If they were to demonstrate that you can no longer trust any clip of someone speaking, why didn't they just use a more widely recognized voice like, say, Morgan Freeman?